Welcome to Nugget 197 with Steve Grohman. And today we are actually going to go back to the January 2021 Scientific American. This magazine had quite a few great articles, and we've covered several in there. One of the articles that we did in this particular magazine was Nugget 184, and it was DINO STAR Scientists Reveal the Real Dilophosaurus, a Jurassic Park icon. And that was really eye-opening. These magazines, all they're talking about is sea, fake news, dinosaurs, or space. And so we're going to just be banting about those topics. The recent magazines that we've been getting in the mail, there's just not much in them.
No, there's not. But this is actually a very good article that we're going to read here today. Because the title of the article is Earth is on Fire. It says the subtitle, the C word, is no excuse to ignore environmental flames. And then it starts out, I've never known an Earth that wasn't on fire. That's actually a very big statement, isn't it? The younger generation today, they don't know about a whole lot of things that have taken place in our nation's history, but yet it has shaped us to where we are today.
Right, and that is the point of this nugget.
They don't know it.
And if you're wondering what is the point of this nugget, that is the point. This is 2021. So many young people, college students, they don't even know what Y2K means.
No.
They weren't alive when 9/11 happened. They are just products of this 21st century. And a lot of it in the academia world is just nonsense. And so we're going to go through this article so you can see this guy is really clear about where he stands and why. Yeah. But it's quite revealing, and we wanted to show you what all he said.
I'm 23 years old, and my entire generation has come of age in a world so defined by the changes in the sky up there. We don't want to get this thing knocked off. But anyway, and other forms of environmental degradation. It's sometimes been hard to fathom what an even more dismal future might look like. And that is a sad reality, because that is the way a lot of these people think. But go ahead.
Well, it has almost been disaster after disaster. I think a lot of us are like, we would just want to wake up back in Kansas, because it has been year after year of nonsense, basically since September 11th, and it's just going downhill. We, again, are stating that we have college graduates that know nothing else but this period in history.
Right. Yeah, this is what's normal to them.
He's just talking about the fate of nature, like so much else, is temporarily gone, has temporarily become an agonizing side story to the C word. And now the environment is a real-time plot followed mostly, I think, by those of us young enough to one day see the worst of it. He's realizing that, well, he's not realizing anything. He has been so propagandized that he's bought all the stuff about the environment.
Right.
Because that's all it's been pushed on him for his entire life.
Right. A little later down in the article, it says, and in the U.S., we've somehow become less thoughtful in our daily choices, accepting that extra plastic bag at the supermarket or order takeout despite all the single-use containers, and if we're privileged enough, driving instead of taking public transportation. Because, well, it's a global issue. Take a walk outside and you'll find all kinds of people masked up with gloves and such, and littering. The stuff is littering the streets, and that's true of beaches and parks, and eventually filling rivers and lakes and seas, and that is a true statement. There have been many accounts of even the oceans are filled with these things, not to mention that anybody can see it. You just take a walk down the parking lot, you'll see items that people used to wear.
You talking about those face diapers?
But it's interesting because, like he says here, and in the U.S., we've somehow become less thoughtful in our daily choices. Maybe some truth to it too, but you know what's interesting, because even though it may be a true statement, we have extra plastic bags and such, paper degrades a whole lot easier and quicker than plastic. They're looking at it from an entire different system, an entire different worldview. We were looking at it as we've become forced to use these things, and this is ridiculous, and it's going to cause trouble and all. Well, now we're in the trouble in a lot of people's minds, but to this guy and to people like that, it's a way of life, and it's a big deal.
Well, he's coming in on the tail end of it.
Exactly, that's what I mean.
The 23-year-olds that were, well, the people that were 23 when this was started were big proponents of the plastic bag.
Right, they're the ones that pushed it so hard.
So it just depends on how old you are, your perspective on it, basically.
Right.
We have lived long enough to live where you could actually go in a grocery store and ask for a paper sack.
Yeah.
And they knew what you're talking about. I'd ask for a paper sack, and they'd look at me like,
What is that?
What does that even mean? You know,
What does
like a
that mean?
paper bag, you know, something that can actually keep the groceries in there. I think they want you to go the little bags so you don't realize how much you're paying for groceries, which if you've been to the grocery store lately, things are through the roof.
They're going up and up and up, and they're more and more scarce as time goes on. Many items.
Right. The shelves are empty in different sections.
It's crazy to see just giant.
And there's not always
sections.
a good reason. Like the other day we were wanting some Gatorade. Wasn't a Gatorade in Walmart. And we asked the lady, like, what's to do with Gatorade? She goes, oh, they're ball games. It was like, oh, thank
At least
you.
it was a good
yes,
reason.
at least people are getting
They're
out
down
and
at the ball
doing
field.
something American. They're actually going to a football game and drinking Gatorade. This is great. It was relief that it wasn't because, well, the
factory
Gatorade
shut down.
Yeah.
Well, it probably did, actually. Maybe not shut down, but it probably did slow up.
Just the whole article is just really sad because this guy's perspective on so many things.
It's doom and gloom.
You can just see that he's just bought all this information, this misinformation, hook, line, and sinker. As he's ending it up, it's unfathomable to me that some people can still so easily shrug it off, especially if they have kids or love anyone who is younger than they are, while for so many in my generation, it is a constant, excruciating worry. Apathy, let alone denial, is no longer an acceptable option because we know that if we stay on this course, the destruction will inevitably come for us, too. That's been their scenario for decades.
For 40 years at least.
Again, I mentioned there was a man who had run for vice president and he ran for president. And he said it was all going to be over 40 years ago and we're all still just plugging around.
Well, they're forever saying 10 years, 12 years, whatever is going to happen. But the thing of it is, there are some problems. This place is going nowhere until God says he's done with it. We kind of tend to forget that God's the creator. He put this place here. He's the one, by him all things consist. He's the one that keeps everything in place. And it's not going anywhere till he's through with it. The fact is, yes, we should take care of things, but not because it's a politically correct thing to do at the moment, because this is God's creation. If we would just treat it as such and respect what God has done for us, not necessarily worship the creature over the creator, but not worship the creation, but yet worship the creator that put it here in the first place and show him the respect, not the earth, but him the respect, and just take care of things, a whole lot of stuff would solve itself.
And this guy is talking about how if we just show love, that nature might meet us halfway, and the planet and our fates hang in the balance.
Oh, boy.
The problem with all of this...
Melodramatic, isn't it?
Yes, it is. But the problem is, he is a writer and a journalist. His first book, Every Day the River Changes, a book of travels along the greatest river in Colombia, will be published in 2021. Well, that sounds exciting. He might want to just stick to adventures. But the point is, this is what has been pushed in his brain since kindergarten.
Right, because this is school. That's what I was just going to say. This is schooling, and we got to pay attention to what our kids are learning, because there's nothing wrong with taking care of things. There's definitely something wrong with this whole Mother Earth and Mother Nature and get in touch and all that kind of thing that has been the political correctness about it all.
And I want to end with this. There's an old saying that says, a picture is worth 1,000 words. And here's the picture that goes along with the article. Just analyze this picture and see how many things you can find wrong, right? We used to do that. There used to be something in the newspaper. There was one picture and they had a second one. And it was like, what's the difference? Well, in this case, just look at this picture and see how many things you can find that are inaccurate in it.
It's a list.
It's a big list. All right. Well, I hope you have gotten our point that we need to realize that the young people of today and the college-age students who will soon be the professors and teachers and teaching your little ones or your grandchildren, this is all they've known.
The worldview matters. It's the same with everything. I've said it for all these years that a fossil is a fossil. We have the evidence. There are some things that are real, but it's the interpretation of it that creates a lot of havoc versus the truth. And so we always need to go back and see what is thus saith the Lord.
And it is a fact that these blue things are trashed and they're thrown on the ground.
Absolutely they
I'm
are.
Sick
they're
of
all
seeing
over.
them everywhere.
They're absolutely
much
everywhere.
less on the ground.
No question about it.
Please don't litter bug. I can't stand litter bugs. All right. Well, thank you.